I've been following Silksong speedrunning since the day the game came out, and I've seen some incredible things. Whether it's using enemies in death cocoons to get to places you're not supposed to be, or skipping entire boss fights, I've watched runners dismantle this game in ways Team Cherry never could have anticipated. But today, I wanted to talk about a discovery that did more than just shave a few seconds off a world record. This wasn't just a time save for one category, it was a discovery that revolutionized Silksong speedrunning as a whole and sparked the biggest debate in the community's history. This is the story of the Voltpogo, and how it changed Silksong speedrunning forever. If you look at the Silksong leaderboards, something stands out. Any percent, the category where runners just beat the game as fast as possible, has hundreds and hundreds of runs. But true ending, 40. That's it. And the reason is simple. True ending is hard as fuck. While any percent takes under an hour, true ending pushes close to 3. You're basically playing the entire game. Side quest, flea saving, extra bosses, you're getting all of it. And you're doing all of this with far fewer upgrades than intended. No extra mass, you only get a couple of nail upgrades, and the only tools you get are the ones you happen to stumble upon along the way. Except one, but we'll get to that. So yeah, true ending is very difficult, and one mistake late into the run will cost you minutes. And if that wasn't bad enough, this run has RNG, random number generator, or in simpler terms, a whole lot of shit you can't control. And I'm not just talking about the randomness of boss attack patterns. I wish it was just that. Let me introduce you to the couriers, Dickhead A and Dickhead B. Why the name calling? Well, as cute as they look, they are not your friends in this run. Let me explain. The couriers offer you wishes. That's just what the game calls quest. They hand you a package and you have to deliver it somewhere across the map. There are 3 possible destinations: Bone Bottom, Pilgrim's Rest, and Songclave. Now, for the true ending route, it's optimal to complete 2 of these to get the required wish points. While you could technically get these points from other NPCs scattered throughout the game, that's way too slow. The fastest route is to get these points from the couriers, specifically Bone Bottom and Pilgrim's Rest. They're almost equally as fast, so runners are happy with either of them. But then there's Songclave. Songclave is bad. It's far out of the way and costs a massive amount of time. If you want to keep your run alive, you don't accept the Songclave wish. But here's how things can go wrong. The couriers only offer you 2 wishes at random. Let's say on your first trip, the menu shows Bone Bottom and Pilgrim's Rest. It doesn't really matter which one you pick, but let's say you pick Bone Bottom. You finish the delivery and you head back to grab your second point. But this time, the menu rolls Bone Bottom and Songclave. Well, you just got Songclaved. You can't pick Bone Bottom again, the game won't give you a second point for a quest you've already completed, and you definitely aren't picking Songclave. It's a massive time loss. So it's fastest to re-accept and complete the same delivery that you don't even need anymore, just to try again where it's possible the same thing could happen again, and will happen again, as the odds of it happening are 1 in 3. It happened to this guy 4 times in one run. It's a massive time loss, all because you got unlucky. And in a 3-hour run, getting Songclaved once is the difference between a world record and a reset. Oh, and that's not the only problem. There's also the Silver Bells wish. This wish requires you to collect 8 bells, but their spawn behavior is random, and there's even a bug where they get stuck in the walls. And because both the couriers and the Silver Bells can go wrong, you're looking at losing minutes, sometimes multiple times in a run, to things completely outside of your control. And in a run this long, that's devastating. Time went by and runners thugged it out. But eventually, with feedback from the community, Team Cherry patched both problems. Courier RNG was removed, Silver Bells were mostly fixed. It was a true ending runner's dream. The category finally felt stable, still insanely hard, but finally manageable. And for a while, everything was peaceful in the community. Until runners started doing this. This is the Voltpogo, a trick that completely changed Silksong speedrunning forever. The tool that makes this possible are the Volt vessels. Normally, Volt vessels are designed to be used in combat. You throw them and the projectile explodes for massive damage. But the important part happens before the explosion. When I throw a Volt vessel, you'll notice that the projectiles have hitboxes, and normally if you strike them with your needle, you'll just knock them away. That's an intended mechanic. It lets you redirect the projectile towards enemies for massive damage. But runners discovered something strange. If you use certain tools instead of your needle, the game doesn't register the projectile as something to redirect. Instead, it registers it as something you can pogo off of. There are actually two different tools that can do this. And once runners realized this, they started abusing it. Because if you throw a Volt vessel and bounce off the projectile, you gain height. Do it again, you're gaining more height. Keep doing this and you're going to the fucking moon. You see how this might be a little strong? Well, just in case you don't, let me show you exactly how runners use this to break the game. Normally, reaching Groll requires taking a long path through multiple rooms, and then fighting the boss to claim the Seeker's Soul, which is incredibly time consuming. But with Voltpogos, you can completely ignore all of it. Instead of taking the intended route, runners make their way up here into this, eventually gaining enough height to make it all the way up and into the room where they can claim the Seeker's Soul, without having to take that long path or fighting Groll. Skipping Groll isn't the only way you can abuse this discovery. You also have the statue skip. Normally, reaching the entrance above this statue requires Silksong, an ability you don't unlock until much later in the game. But with Voltpogos, runners don't need this ability to get up. Instead, they can do some blind Voltpogos to make their way up here early. This allows you to activate this lever, which unlocks the bridge way before the game expects you to. And in all bosses runs, you can take this even further by doing even more Voltpogos to reach this platform and continue the route much faster than once thought possible. And even in places where it doesn't skip major areas, Voltpogo still save time. For example, in Cogwort Core, runners can use it in conjunction with pogoing off of these gears to climb this room far faster than previous strats. On top of everything else, it's a strong tool against bosses, saving even more time. When runners tested full routes using the Voltpogo skips, the results were massive. In True Ending, they saved over 3 minutes, which is enormous, especially in a run already heavily optimized. Voltpogos had completely changed the game. But the story doesn't end there. Because the truth is, the Voltpogo discovery wasn't new. Players had known about this trick for months. So if it saved this much time, why wasn't everyone already using it? Well, that's because it came with a cost. The Voltpogo doesn't work on the latest patch. The developers actually patched it out months ago. Meaning, if runners wanted to use it, they had to downpatch the game. And that creates a huge issue, because if you downpatch the game, you bring back courier RNG and the buggy silver bells. And just like that, luck is part of the run again. It sucked, but downpatching for Voltpogos just saved too much time. This sparked a huge debate in the community. Some runners wanted to mod the game to remove courier RNG again. Others argued that modding defeats the purpose of using an old patch in the first place. Because if you're already downpatching to abuse one unintended mechanic, how do you justify removing another? Both sides had valid arguments, and the discussion got intense. Months went by, but as of recently, the community has made a decision. The courier mod would be legal in runs. The first time in Silksong speedrunning history that a mod is allowed in major categories. It solved the RNG problem, but not everyone was happy with the solution. Some people didn't like the idea of relying on a mod. So what if there was a way to get all the benefits from Voltpogos on a patch where the couriers were already fixed? No downpatching, no mod. Well, if we look back, someone may have already found the answer. It's called the Pin Pogo. Similar to the Voltpogo, this trick lets runners bounce off projectiles to gain height, but instead of using Volt vessels, it uses a completely different setup involving two tools, pin pillows and pins. Normally, pins aren't useful for gaining height on their own, but if you bounce them off a pin pillow, you can redirect them back towards yourself. So runners throw a pin pillow, bounce pins off the pin pillow, and when the pins come flying back, they pogo off of them. Again and again, and just like Voltpogos, they gain height, which means many of the same skips are possible. But there's a catch. Pin pogos are much harder to perform because the pins don't follow a consistent path, and the tools required to set them up are far less useful during the rest of the run. So for now, the trick exists mostly in theory, but as of recently, pin pogos have officially been permitted in runs, and if runners can find a way to make them viable, they could completely remove the need to downpatch or mod the game, solving the problem Voltpogos introduced. So are pin pogos the future of Silksong speedrunning? Well, Probably not. Team Cherry just patched them out like a couple months ago, but that's really just how the story goes. Every time something gets patched, it's in runners' best interest to find something new. A new skip, a new route, a new way to break the game. And if they've proven anything, it's that they'll do just that.